Imagine the sweet chatter of your 3-year-old daughter's voice penetrating your ears with such painful intensity you have to wear earmuffs just so you can tolerate being close to her. Imagine your hearing begins to fluctuate in one of your ears, and then the roaring, hissing tinnitus in both, knowing all too well what comes next, the uninvited visitor vertigo. Within moments of thought, you're on your knees, gently guiding yourself onto your stomach, and finally resting your face on the hardwood floor. One hand outstretched in front of you, as if to stop the sensation of a never-ending fall. Your eyes fixated on one spot. Today, it's a spot far underneath the entertainment center. Your eyes fixated on this. Without breaking your gaze, you move your hand backward and breathe a sigh of relief. Your daughter's found her way to you. After all, this is a game she's played daily for nearly 6 months. Your back-stretched arm cradles her against your waist, and she's content playing with her Olaf stuffies and dinosaur on your back. As you breathe a sigh of relief, she's unaware of the torment you're experiencing. As a wave of nausea comes over you, you're exhaling slowly, not blinking, not moving, praying the vertigo passes quickly and takes tinnitus with it. As you remain calm, slow breaths, questions pass through your mind. Is the stove off? Is the baby gate locked? The spinning's faster now, and you're just praying to God that it stops. Your eyes still fixated on that one spot on the wall. As you fight back tears, no, not the tears, you start your mantra, I'm safe, I'm steady. Inhaling now, you breathe in calm. Exhaling, I release fear over and over to remain in a place of peace, knowing that this will pass. Imagine this lasting for 2 hours, 4 hours, sometimes 6 hours or longer. I don't have to imagine this insane reality because I lived it nearly 6 months in 2016 and 17. My name's Heather Davies, and this is just one of many stories I have living with Meniere's disease. Today I'm an ambassador at VeDA and host of the Muse podcast, where vestibular warriors come on and share their very honest stories living with Meniere's disease, obstacles they've overcome, and ones they continue to live with on a daily basis. I was living a very full life when Meniere's burst into my world. I was stepping into my 18th year working as a psych nurse, running fitness groups, while also caring for my 15-year-old son and 3-year-old daughter. I had no white space on my calendar, and I was burning the candle at both ends. I began experiencing some numbness and tingling on my head that went down my face, and I just pushed it off as stress. I'll deal with it. And it continued to happen, and I promised my mother if it happened again, I would go to the emergency room. Well, it happened again. After many tests, they came back and told me I had a brain tumor, which that's all I heard after that, brain tumor. Although I was initially fixated on the meningioma being the cause of my symptoms, I just knew it was the root. It turns out it was just an incidental finding. So off we went to figure out what was going on with my body. We visited over a dozen doctors, various specialties, but it wasn't until I went to a multidisciplinary clinic where I was finally diagnosed with Meniere's disease and vestibular migraine. So once the beta blockers and diuretics began lessening the vertigo, I attempted to return to work with accommodations. I was unable to drive, so I had to be escorted to my patients' homes, and I worked as a psych nurse, so I gave a lot of long-acting injectables. I began to question myself, second-guess and triple-guess myself to the point it simply wasn't worth the risk for my patients. So I stepped away from nursing, and I lost myself completely. I lost complete confidence in myself. I didn't know how to be anybody that wasn't a nurse. Been doing it for so long. I lost my complete identity. In between doctor's appointments, I would spend my day cooped up in a dark room. Sorry, still wrong. I apologize. I didn't get many visitors, and I had a visitor one day. A friend came into the darkness, and she sat on the side of my bed, and she said, "I don't know what's going on with you. I'd like to understand, but it seems like you've given up. So maybe you should start dreaming another dream." Those words hit me so hard. So, as I watched her leave, pulling the door closed behind her, those words hit me hard. Dream another dream. I never thought of the dreams that my husband and I built together never happening until that very moment. So, that thought never crossed my mind. I never thought of this disease taking our dreams from us. Her words landed like a gut punch, but it also shifted something inside me, raw and unyielding, and it made me want to figure out how to live my best life with this disease. So the journey started, and I was determined to live my best life regardless. Our dream was to wait till my son graduated, buy a sailboat, sell our home, 90% of our belongings, and set sail. So in the wake of my friend's statement, I realized I had to figure out and make that happen. So the journey began. It was one of deep self-reflection, taking a step outside of myself and looking at the bigger picture, how I was living my life and how I could make the best of what I was dealt. I was working a full schedule with barely getting 5 hours of sleep a night. I rarely listened to my body. So I had to figure out how to trust myself again. And so the reinventing began. I began to mourn my previous life while learning to navigate a new one. It is one with less rigid schedules and a more of a go-with-the-flow mindset. It's balancing hope for the best while also planning for the worst. And I still do that today. I began making changes spiritually, physically, mentally, and nutritionally. And I started to regain control of my life. If I have a bad day, I will go outside, and if it's doffing off our bow, or birds singing, or simply the sun on my face, and I remember those little glimmers of hope and that life is still good despite the symptoms. There are so many Méniérians with heartbreaking stories. In the time that I've been diagnosed, one in our community has taken her life, and 2 others have attempted theirs. And these are just friends that I know of. But these 2 ladies are now, with the support they've received in the vestibular community, are strong voices. And I must say that one of the most powerful aspects of navigating life with Ménières is the sense of community that you get from all involved. I had the privilege of collaborating on a project called Dear Ménières. I don't know if any of you have heard of this book. There are hundreds of letters here to Ménières, and there are photos of artwork that all Ménières patients have contributed to this book. All proceeds do support Ménières research. It is raw, real, and heartfelt. It is not for the weak. It is a beautiful book, but there's a lot of emotion inside of this. Early in my journey, I was searching for reassurance. What I needed to know was hope. I needed hope in order to move on. And while walking one day and listening to a podcast, I wondered if I could do this. I wondered if I could create a space for vestibular voices, for people to share their stories, obstacles they've overcome, and ones they continue to live with. And that's when the Ménières Muse podcast when it started. A lot of the guests have left corporate jobs to find themselves to coaching vestibular warriors to live a normal life as they can. Others have created apps for the community. But it's through that shared vulnerability, laughter, and tears that we're able to move forward and chart a course toward hope for ourselves. Listeners are finding strength in knowing they're not alone. And that's what a lot of us need, is to know that we aren't alone, and to hold on to hope. I've expressed many times in the podcast that Ménières has been both a blessing and a curse for me. A curse being the physical and emotional pain, the loss of my independence, the impacts on my relationships, and of course my career, and the uncertainty of it all. A blessing which cannot be found in the depths of the darkness. Through greater self-awareness, stronger connection, advocacy, and the purpose in supporting others. A common thing among vestibular warriors are those tiny blessings, those little glimmers that you can find every single day, whether you're having a good day or not. Just the tiny little ones that make it all worth it. This is not, of course, to minimize the bad days. But when I was diagnosed with MD and VM, my world quite literally turned upside down. I lost my balance, my sense of control, and often my hope. But along the way, I also discovered a resilience I didn't know I had. I found a community of people who helped me navigate this uncertain journey. This illness is undoubtedly a curse. It's relentless, unpredictable, and isolating, but in the darkness I did find light. It pushed me to connect with others, to advocate for awareness, and to find meaning in those small victories. It became a catalyst for my personal growth and deep empathy. The research that you do, the treatments you develop, and the hope you give is part of that light. For people like me, your efforts remind us that while we may be navigating an unsteady path, we are not alone in seeking solutions. Your work isn't just about curing symptoms, it's about giving hope. And I hope each of you realize that. Every patient you see, every study you complete, every small advance in understanding brings us closer to a life where we can embrace the blessings over this curse. So I stand here today as proof that while chronic illness takes, it also teaches. And with your continued dedication, I believe we can turn the tide, creating a future where blessings far outweigh the curse for everyone navigating this journey. I thank you for your dedication and for being a part of this journey with us. Thank you.